Hey everybody, Engineer Coffee. Welcome back to Mars. Last episode we built an elevator for our apartment complex that's here behind me. Did a little bit of work off camera. We'll go ahead and tour that, and then we'll get to setting up the rest of the elevator. Alright, I did put on a little small grid system here on the front so I can get the floor numbers. These do tick up and down as the elevator goes up and down with the sensors. I've got this side set up, this side is not. Still not totally in love with it. Still kind of just playing around with the design. Here on the first floor, we only have the single button because we just need to push it to open up one of the doors. So that is a change I think I may have made since last episode, is instead of just leaving this door open where the elevator is, it starts a timer for 10 seconds and then closes the door. So it kind of works more like a normal elevator where it's not just staying open on whatever floor it's on. Alright, and then on this side, I did get some interior walls here done. We've got this 3x4 space that we got to do something with, whether it's, you know, like little mini shops or maybe like a little resting area. We'll change it up per floor, probably. I did get this side of the apartment done, so it looks, it's basically just copying this over here. I didn't put the signage up, though. So the outside of the building has a lot more spots for apartment complexes. All right, and then I want to do something a little bit different with the apartment units themselves, so stay tuned to the end of the episode. And then this bottom unit here may change. Some people had some ideas, and I did too, of putting a garage down here on the lower level, especially on this side where it dips down. But somehow we have to get down to this floor. The elevator obviously doesn't go down this far. So I was thinking about putting stairs or another elevator in here in this middle floor, like this 3x4 section. But I may just carry this like apartment unit out in more of a permanent structure that encases the garage. We'll see. We'll see where we go with that. But that's tomorrow's problem. And I probably spoiled the wall here walking around talking about the garage, but I did finish up the programming wall here. I don't have it all programmed, just have it all set up. This side is pretty much the same as where we left it. I just put some LCDs on it to kind of label what they do, and then I mimicked it over here on the right side. This center section's a little bit different. This is what I think I am going to need to get the two elevators to work together. All right, I haven't done any programming over here for elevator A, so we'll do that this episode, and I'll go into a little bit more detail of the thought process of what went into all of this mess. All right, so I mimicked the elevator. It's a mirror image here on elevator A. That's elevator B down at the bottom floor. This guy's up here at the top. So this is going to be the starting condition for this side because we want them to swap as we go. So let's go ahead and get this one programmed. All right, so the first things we need to do here for this elevator A is we need to program these, what I'm calling F timers. They're for the floor, so floor 1 through 6. These are going to be our set and move commands. So let's go ahead and go in and find those. All right, I won't bore you with setting all of these up, but I have all of the values written down of what distance they need to go to. So here on floor 6, go up to setup actions. We're going to find our elevator A pistons. We're going to put it here on toolbar set and move. This distance is what we want because that's where the floor is. So that's convenient. And then we'll do a speed of 0.5. And that's fine for a name, I don't really care. Alright, so now we've got all of these timers set up, which is great. We're going to go ahead and turn all of these off because we don't want any of them selected until we actually pick it from the button panels. Alright, then we need to set up our up timer and our down timer. Alright, so for our timer up, we're going to go into setup action. We're going to find our A elevator and we're going to find our timer for our floors that we just set up. Now this we want to call in order. Reverse order because we're going to go up. So it's going to try to go to level 6. We're going to do a trigger now. Level 5, trigger now. 4, 3, then 2. Lastly, we're going to add this moving timer down here. And all this is just an accumulator. All right, let's find our timer down. We're going to do the same thing. This time when it's going down, though, it's going to try to go all the way down to the bottom floor. But then it'll get interrupted by the next floor up. Until we get to level 5. Again, we can skip level 6 because we're there when we start. All right, so this little override trick is what I used on the bridge crane, so that's why I recreated it here. The set and move just gets triggered multiple times, and the piston just remembers the last command it was given. And these happen instantaneous, so it overrides immediately, so you're not worrying about it skipping over one or waiting a second before it gets to the next. These all just trigger in sequence, but they do it in order. So it will go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it just does it immediately. So order is important, but you don't have to worry about timing. All right, let's go ahead and do the timer moving here. That is the collector between the up and down, that the actions that they share. I'm going to go ahead and do it up here in the elevator, so we make sure we have all the components. The first thing we need to do is shut all of our doors. We want to make sure the door is shut before the elevator moves. All right, the next thing we want to do is retract this ramp here on the elevator. It could be a close the elevator door if that's how your setup is. So this guy flips around. Somebody had the suggestion of putting the floor numbers here on the back side of the buttons. I thought that was a great idea. So I've got those similar buttons here that we'll have to set up to cycle through as the elevator moves. But yeah, this prevents the player from hitting a button while the elevator is moving. So let's go ahead and revolve it back around to the stationary position. All right, so that rotor, we're going to give a positive velocity of 30. All right, and that is all we need for now on that one. All right, if I were to try to run this sequence, I don't have any of the buttons set up, but if I were to try to go down to floor 1, let's say what it's going to try to do is do a set and move. It's going to close the doors. That set and move will happen immediately. This guy will start dropping before that door technically closes. So somebody could run through and the elevator's moving. I don't think that's a great way to do it. So what I do is I want to make sure these doors are closed before this elevator moves. And so I do that with some event controllers down here. So that is what these two are here are for, is for the doors closed and the door open. All right, so here for our door open, we're going to use the door open closed. Where's that one? There we go. Door finished open close. We're going to find all 6 of our doors for elevator A. All right, then here on the doors closed, I just did an AND gate to make sure that all doors are closed before it moves. All right, you might be able to combine this into one event controller. I was explicit to make sure that all the doors were closed, but in theory, 5 of the doors should be closed because it's not even on that floor and they should be turned off with only 1 door open. And so when that 1 door closes, it should trigger this event controller. So you could probably do it all in one action here with door open, door closed, but I went ahead and was explicit with it, but there's an optimization there. All right, then for door open, if any of these doors are open, which we have F6 is open, we want to do an action. I'm going to find our elevator pistons here. We're going to go ahead and turn them off. And then back in our doors closed, we're going to select an action of turning them back on. So that's over here in the second slot when closed. All right, so that just makes sure that the door is fully closed before the elevator starts to move. So the set and move action will be waiting. Basically, it'll be trying to pull the piston, but the piston is not on. So once it gets turned on, it'll start going to that floor. All right, and then I've got this closed doors timer that we're going to put on a 10-second delay. Let's go ahead and find that. So here for the closed doors timer, it's got a 10-second delay, which is the same delay as we have for the up and down cycle. I don't know if I went over that. But here for the elevator 1, we just want to make sure that the top and bottom floor are closed. So we're just going to do F1 and F6 because the ones in the middle, when the elevator stops, it's only going to stop for 10 seconds and then automatically close the door with the up or down cycle. So we don't need to worry about those two. It's just these ones. When the cycle finishes, the door will open, let people off for 10 seconds, and then close the door again. All right, so back in our door open event controller, we're going to go into our actions. We had our pistons to be able to turn off. Now we just want to trigger that closed door timer. We're just going to do a start on our timer. That'll make sure that the door closes after 10 seconds. So that's what I have set up here on the first floor as well for elevator B. So when I open that door, it'll wait for 10 seconds before it closes. Now this button here just attempts to open up both doors. And because one of them is off and the other one is on, only one's going to open up. So basically when you're calling the elevator, it's going to open up the one that is available. So I'm pretty sure I explained this in the other video, but the set and move changes the min and max values here. If we go into, let's go into the actual control panel. All right, so if we go into a piston here, we have this maximum distance and our minimum distance. And right now it's set at 9.3 because that's the distance that we're going up to the top. And it reset the minimum distance to 0 because it was going up. And that's just how the set and move works, is it changes your minimum and maximum distances of your pistons when you hit that set and move. So that is what these two event controllers here are for, is the piston at 0% and the piston at 100%, and all this does is catch when it's going in each direction. So the piston at 0% is when it's going down. It goes to the new minimum value for the set and move. And that minimum value, whatever the set point is always 0% for the event controller. And same with the piston going up or extending. It goes up to the set and move value is now the maximum is now the new 100%. All right, so here in our event controllers, we want to use our piston position percentage. It's hard to say 10 times fast. For the 0%, we can use equal to or less than 0. Again, piston position percentage, we're going to do equal to or greater than 100% for this one. All right, so for our elevator A pistons, we just want to make sure we add all 6 of our pistons here. We're going to do an AND gate on it as well. They all travel at the same speed at the same time, so we shouldn't have an issue, but I'm going to go ahead and use an AND gate just to make sure that is explicit. All right, so we're going to do a start on that timer so we have the 10-second delay before it starts to move down. And then here on the second page for another when true action is we want to be able to do our timer stopped. So this one I have as just a collector because the 0 and 100% share actions just like the moving one over here. Again, for the 100%, that means it's moving up and we want it to continue to move up. Now let's go find that stopped timer. We're just going to try to open all 6 doors. We want to put down the ramp, so we're going to do a set velocity. All right, then we're going to want to rotate our button panel back around so the player can enter in a floor. So we're going to do a set velocity and do a -30, and that should be it. All right, if we were to try to call the action now to go down, none of them would work because we have all of our floors off for one. But the other problem we'd run into is this stopped accumulator, if it did get down to a floor, would attempt to open up all the doors. All right, so we need to be able to have these doors lock, and we do that by just having them turn off. All right, so here down below the elevator, I actually have 2 sensors. I'm using them for 2 different things. So I've got this guy here on the right that we're just going to use for our floor indicators for outside of the elevator to show what floor we're on. So that's got a really broad range that the elevator can go down. It'll show that it's on floor number 6 before it transitions into this one for floor number 5. We'll turn it on the HUD here. So you can see there's just a little bit of a delay that the floor 6 will turn off before the floor 5 does, but we don't want that big of a range for actually doing actions on our elevator. So I've got 2 different sensors. This one's just got the broader range. Let's go ahead and turn it off. And this one has a very narrow range of where the elevator is. All right, so here on the top floor, we have our sensor F6. Let's set up some actions on it. So we'll find our door for floor 6. When it's in range, we want that block on. Out of range, turn it off. And that just makes sure when this elevator has moved past the sensor, that door turns off and stays locked. All right, so we can go ahead and do that for each one of these sensors. Let's find our doors. F1 is going to do on, then off. F2 will do the same for door number 2. All right, the next thing we need to do is to be able to turn these buttons off. So as the elevator is passing through the floors, we want to be able to turn it off because we're already on floor number 6, so we don't need this one on. And then we get down to like floor number 3, we want to be able to turn floor number 5 and 4 and then 3 off. So the player can't select them until the elevator gets all the way down to floor number 1, and then we'll turn them all back on and the player can go ahead and select what floor they want to go through. Level 6 is just going to turn the elevator button 6 off. We'll do that for all of these sensors. Now let's say we're in the elevator at level 6, we turn on level 4 and that's where it's going to go down. So we hit the button, it starts the down sequence, it goes down here to level 4, it's on, and we want it to continue on down to level 1. So the button will also have to turn on level 1, which we'll set that up in a little bit with these button timers over here to make sure it continues on its journey. But with this guy being on, every time it triggers, it's just going to go to level 4 and just stay there. So we want to have a way to turn off these sensors. When we get to that level, we want to turn these timers off. All right, so our sensor for F1, all we're going to want to do is go to our 3rd page now and turn off that timer. We'll do that for all of these. There we go. Now we can make sure that when the elevator passes through the floor, it turns off that timer so it can go ahead and do the next one in the sequence that is on. All right, so buttons can only do a single action at a time, and so that's why I created these other 6 timers here, B1 through 6. So that's just going to do a trigger now for number 1, This one will do trigger now for number 2, and so forth. All right, let's go ahead and set up each one of those timers. All right, there we go. Got a control panel. That makes things a little bit easier. All right, for the button to go down to floor number 1, this one's pretty easy. All we want to do is turn on our timer that corresponds to that set and move for floor number 1. We want to make sure that gets turned on. And then we do the timer to go down. There we go, timer down. We just want to go ahead and give that a start. So the same is true for button number 6 over here. We just want to make sure it turns on the set and move for that floor, and then it does a timer up start. All right, then buttons 2, 3, 4, and 5. These ones are a little bit different. We don't know what direction we're going to necessarily be going from. So if we're on floor number 3, we hit it. We want to either go up or down. Not really sure, so we're going to set it up for a couple things. I'm just going to do all 4 of these guys at once. So I'm going to skip a spot here. We're going to find our timer, and we want to turn on floor number 1. And we want to turn on floor number 6. And we want to start both our up and our down timer. So let's do a start on down and a start on up. And that just makes sure that it does both directions. All right, and then individually we're going to go back in and set up that it turns on its individual floor. So for timer F2, it'll turn that one on. For button number 2, well, it wouldn't be Mars if we didn't have a storm. Let's go ahead and make sure we have our up and down timers set properly. Right now it's at the top floor. We only want to be going down. We want to make sure that one is on, but our timer up is off. All right, that should make a functional elevator, but let's go ahead and worry about the lights before we do a little test here. So let's go back into our button timers, and when we hit the button, we want to be able to turn on its corresponding light. All right, now we need a way to turn those lights off when we reach the floor, and we're going to do that with our sensors. When we get into range of that floor, we're just going to turn our light off. There, our storm just ended abruptly because it always does. All right, there we go. I think that should all work now. Let's go ahead and give it a little bit of a test. Let's go to floor 4, 2, and 1, I guess. So let's go ahead and hit the button. We'll see the ones light up that we hit. I guess I shouldn't have done 1 because it's going to do them automatically. That door was already closed because we took so long. Okay, we're here at level 4. The light turned off, the button is off, so is number 5, so we can't select to go up to number 5, which is good. All right, now we're down here at the bottom. All right, you can see when we got down here to the bottom floor, it's got the ramp ready to go. It's actually trying to do the other up cycle to go. So we need to be able to stop that. So we're going to go into our sensors. All right, so here in our sensor for floor number 1 and floor number 6, we're going to set up some actions. We're going to go to our last pages, and we're going to stop those up and down timers. The timer up, we're going to go ahead and hit a stop on. And then timer down, we'll also do a stop. I don't know that we need to do both for each floor, but I haven't really tested which one is causing the problem, but it only just takes up an extra slot, so we'll just stop both of them. All right, so that should take care of that. So this guy would actually be down. Let's go ahead and just reverse it. And we'll reverse this guy. Here we go. Now we'd be able to exit off of here, but now we are in a mode where we're going down. Oh, that's weird. Well, I just noticed a visual glitch with these projectors here. It's got the arrow pointing up, which is fine there. Arrow is down, but if I get on this side of it, it's now up. So if I were to type words into that, what would it do? Yeah, it even moves the words. Oh, they're backwards though. So it mirror images the words here, but it doesn't do the rotation. Okay, Keen. Well, there's a bug for you. Interesting. Okay, now we need to be able to switch to be able to go back up. We need to switch modes here. And I had been doing that when this guy gets down into the sensor range, it flip-flops the up and down timer to go up, but we want to do things a little bit different now that we have both elevators here. All right, I set the elevator back up here to the top floor, so we have our initial conditions. All right, so I'm definitely going to need a couple more timers. I'm going to put them right here. All right, I went ahead and relabeled those event controllers up there. We want this one to be when the elevator A is at the top, B is at the bottom, and then this one when A is at the bottom and B is at the top. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that the elevators has completed their cycle before we switch modes, because one of them could be going from like floor 6 all the way down to floor number 1, whereas the other one is going up to level 1 and then 3, then 4, then all the way up to 6. So it's going to take more time. So we want to make sure that they're both done with their journey before we switch modes. Otherwise they'll get confused and cross over each other. So here in elevator A, for our sensor for floor number 1, we want to set up some actions. We're going to go to our next available page, which looks like it's number 7. So I have these indicator bits. What I'm calling a bit and an inverse bit. The inverse one is just the red light. So for elevator A, we have our bottom floor. So when it is in range in sensor number 1, we want to turn that light on. Otherwise, we'll turn it off. And we'll go to page 8. And then our inverse light, when it's in range, we want to turn that one off. And then when it's out of range, we want to turn it back on. And then same with our sensor number 6. So this is how this setup should be. The lights are in the correct position. It's at level 6, so that guy is on. Its inverse is off, but the inverse is on for the bottom floor because it's not there. All right, so now we're in condition number 1, technically, where we have A at the top and B is at the bottom. And so for this guy, what we're going to do is we're going to look for if lights are on. There we go. We're going to use the block switched on off, and we're going to find our indicators. All right, so A is at the top, so we want our top bit. We're going to add that one. Our elevator B, we want our bottom bit. We're going to add that one. And we're going to do an AND gate. And did I hear an explosion? Okay, we got a Garamus. I wonder if it was a signal that blew up. I don't know what that was. All right, we got our AND gate on there. We've got our top bit is on. Our bottom bit is on. So that is correct. All right, for here, for our top and bottom, all the action we're going to do is we're going to call on a timer. All right, A top, we're just going to do a trigger now on that timer. Okay, I really wish these guys had control panels or something on it. I like how they put it on the projector. That little green dot should be available, but that's all right. All right, so here for this first one, the A elevator, which is our right elevator, is at the top and B is at the bottom. Let's go ahead and set up its actions. First, we want to turn its up timer off because it's now at the top, that it doesn't need to go up anymore. But the elevator B, we want to turn on because it's now at the bottom and we want it to go back up. Now for our down timers, we're going to do the opposite. A timer now needs to be turned on because it needs to go back down. And the elevator B needs to be turned off because it's already at the bottom. All right, the next thing we need to worry about is all of those buttons. So I'm just going to go ahead and go to page 2 here and let's find those buttons. For elevator A, we're now at the top, so we want to turn on every button except for floor number 6. Go to page 2, and we're going to look for elevator B buttons. And we're going to turn on every one of them except for button number 1. Might be easier just to make a group, but that's fine. All right, and then I want to do one more thing when we do that switch. I want to come up here and I'll show you. I've got these arrows here. This guy is showing that this guy is going down. So what we need to do is decrease our rotation to get it to go back to showing that it's in the upward position. And then likewise, when it's over here and it switches to now going down, we want to increase its rotation by 2 to get to 180. Okay, so when A is at the top, when it reaches the top, it's going to need to start going back down. So A needs to increase its rotation twice. So we're going to do an increase rotation. Then we're going to go to page 2 and do an increase rotation again. Because if I try to do it again here, and I do increase rotation, it just overwrites it and moves it. So if you take it and you put it on another tab, we'll put the increase rotation back here. We go back to number 1, it's still there. And then likewise with B, we want to decrease the rotation. Let's go ahead and give that a test. Let's go ahead and open the door here. Let's select level 6. Okay, we're riding up. Going past each floor. The doors do turn on, but that's fine. Alright, we're here at the top floor. It still hasn't switched over. We can't go to another floor yet because this guy is still at the top. So we'll come over here. Let's go ahead and select floor number 1. Actually, let's do floor number 2 and floor number 1. I want to give us just a little bit of time. We'll drop down manually from floor 2 to floor 1. There we go, we're on floor number 2. It'll wait 10 seconds. Let's go ahead and get down here. Yep, this elevator is still showing that it's going up. This one shows that it's going down. We don't have any of the LCDs correct here. There we go. It flip-flopped. Now this guy is going up. That guy is going down. And our buttons have switched. So now we can go up to 2 to 6, and this guy should be lit up now. It didn't rotate over, though. Why are you not rotated? Alright, I made one small change here in our sensors for level 1 and level 6. Instead of just stopping our timers, I also put here on the last page is turning off the up and down timer. So it's only turning the up off on level 6, it's turning the down one on level 1, because what was happening was it was triggering again, and even though it wasn't going to a level, it was still retracting this ramp and flipping the buttons over, so then you don't have the buttons available. So we need to be able to stop that. When I had the single elevator set up, it got down to this level and would automatically switch between up and down and stop and turn them off. So we didn't have that problem. So let's go ahead and get in here. Let's push floor number 6. Okay, now here at the top floor, ramp goes down, door opens. And then when this door closes, because of that 10-second timer, the ramp and the button should stay where they are. So let's verify that. Yeah, that's good. Ramp is there. Buttons are there. Good. Okay, that's working. And all of our buttons are off. We can't go because it's waiting for this guy to go back down to the bottom. All right, so I've got these 4 event controllers down here to handle these events. So if elevator B leaves first, it's going to tell A to move. And if A leaves first, it's going to tell B to move. A leaves the bottom can be off. B leaves the top can be off. Because right now we want to just make sure we check if B leaves the bottom and A leaves the top, because that's their current position, correct? B is here at the bottom? Yes, okay. All right, let's set up the B leaving the bottom floor. So we'll go in here when we want to do our block switched on off. We're going to search for our indicators. All right, so we know A is going to be at the top, so we're going to use its top bit. But then we know B is left the station, so it's left here. So we're going to use this light down here, which is our inverse bit. And we want an AND gate on that. So it's looking if this light is green, this light is red, and it'll do an action. All right, those are definitely the most confusing to keep track of, to make sure that we have all the right ones, because it's like it's a weird matrix to make sure we have all 8 lights in the proper sequence, so that's a little annoying. All right, so we have elevator A leaving the bottom, which means B needs to come down. We're going to look for our timer down, we're going to do our B, we're going to start it. But that also means we need to turn on our level 1 so it can come down for elevator B. Let's go ahead and open door number 6 to give people an opportunity to get on for 10 seconds before it leaves. All right, let's go ahead and give this guy a test. We should be able to push this guy. Let's go to, let's go floor number 4. Should see that guy starting to go. There we go. Now it's starting to go down. We're here waiting. Okay, now we're here at this level and we can go again because the other elevator is at the bottom. Excellent, and it's showing that it's going up. This door should close. There we go. We can see that it triggered here to do that flip-flop, but now we need to be able to turn these guys on and off, because right now if elevator A, the one here on the right, leaves the bottom, it's not going to do anything because that guy is currently off. Okay, for when elevator A is at the top, we want A leaving the top on, but A leaving the bottom off. B leaving the bottom, because B is at the bottom, we want that one on, and the other one off. All right, let's see if this one works. Let's go ahead and pick some floors. Let's just do a few of them. Okay, we're going to wait 10 seconds. We should see this guy go. There we go. Okay, good. 10 seconds seems like an awful long time to wait. I might reduce that down. I'm not sure. Okay, good. And now because those other ones are off, it shouldn't have triggered anything to like start the cycle again. So hopefully none of these elevators are moving. It just opened that door, which means they're just going to continuously cycle. Is there any way to stop the event controllers? Even though they're flip-flopped on and off, they shouldn't be doing these triggers. All right, well, I was a little worried about this. I didn't think it was going to trigger with these guys off. I'm wondering if we turn those off with a sensor then. All right, so I'm going to run in a little experiment here. So we've got the one here at the bottom. So this is sensor F1 for this elevator. What I want to do is when it leaves, I want to turn the other one off. So it's gotten out of range. It needs the elevator B leaving the top to turn off. Same for B, it's going to turn the A leaving the top off. Let's see if that one helps at all. Okay, that guy's traveling down. That's good. Here at floor number 5, or floor number 4. I really need to put numbers on the doors here to know what level we're on. Now, we should just stay here, and everything should just be fine. So if we see this door open, we know we have a problem still. Yep, the door's still open, so we've got a problem. Okay, we see that guy trigger. It turns the other ones off. That's great. Okay, they flip-flopped and now I don't see any blue, so that seems to be working. Maybe I just need to give it a cycle after putting those things into the sensor. Because it may have been like remembering the last command and got turned back on. Nope, there it goes again. No, that's just the door. It's still there. Okay, I must have just had to run it through a couple cycles for the event controllers to forget what they were last doing. That's probably what it was. Alright, I was driving to work and I think we can optimize this a lot better than we did. So since we have the sensors turning off these event controllers, we don't actually need any of these inverse bits. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of them. I also might want to move those down, but I'll leave them for now because it's going to screw up pretty much all of them. So I won't do that for now. I'm going to remove all the blocks because right now it's looking for the opposite side, which we don't want. Okay, so when elevator A leaves the bottom, we just want to know that the bottom bit for elevator A is off. We're just going to add that block. A leaves the top, we just need the top bit. This makes it so much easier to keep track of too. So now, in the actions here, what we want to do, instead of doing these on the positive side, we're going to do it on the negative side. Yeah, so instead of elevator B down here, we're going to do it on the negative side. We'll start that there. Same with this turning on F1. And then I'm actually going to go ahead and get rid of this door opening. And let's actually go back real quick. Instead of starting this one, I just want to do a trigger now. We're not going to wait the 10 seconds for it to exchange. We're just going to say when this one moves, the other one needs to start moving. The one that is leaving has 10 seconds. So there is an opportunity for somebody to get on that elevator. But I think what's happening also is the elevator is getting very close to the top before that other elevator starts to move. And that really kind of defeats the purpose of what we're going for, of having them switch places. So I'm just going to do a trigger now on that. All right, so I think that'll work. So when this guy leaves, that light's going to turn off, but that sensor is also going to turn off this event controller. So when this guy leaves, when he's told to by that event controller, this event controller will already be off, and so it won't have any effect. So I think this is all going to work. Right, another thing I did is these timers up and down, I changed the delay to 5 seconds, as well as the door closed, these guys, the closed doors, it is also on 5 seconds. 10 was just a little too long to wait, so I feel like this timing here is much more appropriate. We got, you know, seconds that door opens anyway. Let's go ahead and give this guy a test. There we go, this guy is going up. That guy is going down immediately. That's good. Now all of our event controllers should be off. And I feel that's much better because that elevator is already traveling down. So we don't have to wait too long now. Yep. For this guy to flip over and already be reset because the bottom is already there. Let's go ahead and actually let's stand inside here just to make sure that it's not going to try to activate again. Good. This one's not coming down. That guy is not coming up. There we go. That is a much easier way to do that. All right, so that guy works in both directions. Now let's go ahead and get our buttons here on the outside done. These ones recreated on the other floors. I tried to do this guy with a hinge, but it didn't work with this guy being out in front of the door. So I actually need that like piston to be able to extend out just a little bit and then suck it back in as much as possible. So got a little bit of exposure back here with the rotor. I could kind of change this guy up, but it looked weird because we have that pipe, so we can't really get in its way. I mean, I guess I could just get rid of that pipe and we could just have these guys go into a wall, but that's all right. It's not too intrusive, I don't think. So I'm going to go ahead and keep it. Let's go ahead and take a blueprint of this guy. So Control Shift B. All right, so on level 1, this guy is actually the button that attaches to the rotor, and then everything else is off of that. I believe it's just that, and then this guy comes off. So we can attach our projector to that. There we go. Now we can get this guy welded up. Actually, I could just get the lobster in here and weld most of it up, I think. All right, let's see how much of this stuff we can reach. Oh, I know what's going on here. I don't have the rotor displacement set up, so it's not letting us weld those blocks. Let me go ahead and land real quick, just right here. Did it get any of the... No, it didn't get any of the landing gear, so we've got that going for us. Really hoping it was going to get those landing gear, though. That was the internal parts that I was really worried about. Right, there we go. Got that button set up that's just doing opening the elevator. That's good. We can go ahead and get this guy ground off. Let's go do the mid floors. This is going to be a slog. So this one's going to be a little bit different here in the middle because we actually need 2 buttons. We need one for this door and one for this door because we need to be able to call if we're trying to go down or up. Well, the projector doesn't really work for this middle section, but I do want it because of all these LCD screens up here, so I don't have to relabel all of those. All right, then I actually want to do something a little bit different here. I'm going to put, let's see, hopefully I can get it down here. I'm going to put a couple pistons. It's just like we were hiding the buttons inside the elevator, we want to hide the buttons on the outside too, when this guy is in motion. All right, I'm actually going to move these up a spot, and I'm hoping that I can still get my blocks across the top here. All right, looks like I can put some plates back here. That's cool. So let's get those on there to kind of hide some of this stuff. All right, so that one just needs to be a trigger now for B5. This one needs to be a trigger now for B5, but for elevator A. Okay, here we go. We've got 2 buttons now, and I did call right elevator and call the left elevator, so you're going to need to make sure you pick which one you're wanting to go to. So if I want to go up, I want to call this one. So now we'll just wait and make sure that that guy comes up and this guy doesn't stop, and we should be good. There we go. It's climbing. That one doesn't have any indicators, so that's not set up yet. There we go. Awesome. It is at level 5. We can get on, and then it should continue on its journey up to level 6. All right, there we go. I got all of the levels done. I think it looks pretty good. I put caution on the door that's going to clamp down on people. I haven't set the speed on those or done anything with them. Probably should have, because I think if I would have added them as a group, we would have been covered. But because it remembers the group name. So if I call this elevator to level 3, we should see this elevator start going down, and these LCDs will update. Because I named them as a group. Yeah. So I kind of screwed myself over here because I have not grouped these guys up yet, so I'm going to have to find all of those and group them. So at least it's working. Got all the buttons there. It does call left elevator, call right elevator. Again, if I want to go up, I would hit this button. But I do need to have it that when it's moving, it's going to be turning these buttons off as well, and then we also need to shut the doors. So really we shouldn't be able to select that one because I think it's going to be already up at the top. It is, yeah, so we need to have how these buttons shut off. We need to have these hallway buttons shut off as well. Yeah, there we go. I think we got the groups. That's good. Now we can get the sensors set up for that. That's pretty easy. It's the buttons closing. Let's see, I think that's in the moving. All right, we're in elevator A moving. We want to find our pistons for elevator A. There we go. We're going to extend those. And then I think the stopped is when it gets redone. There we go, yep. This guy needs to be retracted. That should do that. Now let's test some speeds on here real quick. It's not quite fast enough. Let's see if we can go 1 maybe. That feels pretty good. I mean, it's kind of a guillotine really, but in the mechanics of the game, it still works. Would I do this in real life? Absolutely not. All right, I think we've got it all set up. Let's go ahead and give it a test here. Let's open the door. We'll get inside. And let's go to multiple floors. Why not? Okay, those are working. That's great. Now we're on level 4. We can get off. Let's go down here to level 3. We can watch the outside here. The button's closed. That's good. There we go. That one's on level 3. That one's on level 6. The button is open, but it's not available yet. Oh, I don't think I actually turned those buttons back on. That's one thing that we forgot. There we go. So now it's switched modes. This guy is the down, that guy is the up. But we need to turn those buttons back on. That is something we forgot. All right, these are in these flip-flop timers, I believe. Go to setup actions. Yeah, we have all those buttons getting turned back on. We'll just go to page 4 and turn the hallway buttons on. Let's see, we just need to turn all of them on, actually. All 8 of them. All right, that's pretty cool. I like it. Now we're back at the top. The buttons are back on there because the other one already reached the bottom. And all of these buttons are back on. All right, I think that wraps it up for the elevator controls. I didn't really mean for this episode to be all programming, but man, I have been at this for hours, so I'm sure this is going to be the bulk of the episode again. But I think it looks really cool and it works awesome. So yeah, I think this is probably going to be most of the episode here. I want to go ahead and get into what we want to do with the apartment complexes. So let's go talk about that. All right, so somebody on YouTube had a great suggestion. I had made 3 designs that I was going to replicate throughout this entire base here, but we've got 30 slots to fill, 15 on this side, 15 on the other, and he suggested that you guys submit some designs, and I think that is a great idea. So there will be a few design constraints. It's got to fit into this slot here, so I will post a template on the workshop that has this kind of rough cutout so you guys know what you're supposed to fit into. We need to be able to have it merge and connect to that, and then the door here is where it needs to connect onto. You guys can use subgrids or rotors or pistons or anything like that. That's totally fine. Just need to make sure that it's pressurizable on the other side of the door. So if you guys want to put in your own airlock, that's totally fine. But right now there is no airlock between, the hallway and the apartment here. So that needs to be at least pressurized up to that door. Other than that, I am totally okay with whatever designs you want to come across. Doesn't have to be any of this orange ribs or anything crazy like that. I'll probably attach one of these apartments as kind of a inspiration or template if you guys want to use it, or use the colors or anything like that. That's totally fine. All right, so I'm going to create an event on Discord so we can cover all of this and pick which units go in here. I don't think we're gonna have more than 30, but maybe you guys will surprise me. But we're gonna just slot them in as we get submissions. Obviously make it appropriate for YouTube. Other than that, go wild with your designs. I'm not really planning on doing like a competition for any type of prize money. I just kind of want to see what you guys come up with and get some interaction with you guys, and you guys have the opportunity to have something on screen that you guys made. All right, so I built a little mini section of the apartment, and I'll put this up on the workshop. So this will show you where you need to put your apartment. And then I've got one of mine here on the side, so you can kind of have inspiration or a template or whatever you guys want to use with that. So it does need to slide in to be able to hook on. So we've got armor blocks here, so you can get full blocks down here, but the sides are obviously armor panels, so getting it to slide in between here is going to be an issue. But other than that, I'm totally good with hinges, rotors, all that stuff. Try not to protrude too far out, in front of the building. I don't want it hanging out 30 feet. I will post this up on the workshop, and I look forward to your guys' submissions. All right, well, I think that completes our elevator system. It turned out pretty cool. So if you guys got any suggestions, totally welcome. But I'm going to go ahead and call it an episode here. Sorry it was so programming heavy, but I think it turned out awesome. All right, I will see you guys in the next episode.